can see what I'm talking about. The IRS hosts marijuana and cryptocurrency tax event that highlights legalization support. Okay, so this is two of the best subjects here that we talk about on this show, crypto and cannabis. The Internal Revenue Service on Wednesday hosted a forum dedicated to tax policy for marijuana businesses and cryptocurrency. The seminar, are they related in any way? I don't know. The seminar, which was presented by a representative of the National Association of Tax Professionals, examined issues such as allowable tax deductions while cannabis remains federally illegal and how different states approach taxing marijuana. Well, we know that they tax marijuana here in Illinois, the sale, at a very, very high rate. It also covered issues related to paying taxes on earnings in Bitcoin and other forms of digital currency. And I'm not going to talk about that here, but we've talked about it extensively on this show, especially catch us on Crypto Tuesday, where we talk about crypto, all things crypto. During the IRS Nationwide Tax Forum panel, there was a discussion about growing public support for cannabis legalization and the prospects for federal reform. A description of the event states that the attendees would learn how to prepare a tax return for illegal activities and identify when virtual currency needs to be reported as a taxable income. Again, we've talked a lot about that. And again, to preparing it, the IRS definition of income is broad. It means all income from whatever source. And this is why no matter what happened, if the federal government comes after you for a crime, invariably, if they can't prove the crime, they're going to get you for tax evasion. And might look no further than Al Capone, right? What did he go to prison for? Tax evasion. They could not pin a crime on him, and so they got him for tax evasion. And that's very common. That's a very common tact for the federal government. Again, they try to get people, and sometimes they can't prove their case. They don't have enough evidence, but they'll have enough evidence for tax evasion. And so again, even though you're in an illegal activity, you're supposed to claim all that as income. The presentation, which was aimed at tax professionals interested in learning how the crypto and cannabis spaces, provided a high-level overview of some of the financial issues that are unique to marijuana industry under the umbrella of federal prohibition. While the vast majority of states have legalized cannabis in some form, its illicit status under the Controlled Substances Act means that marijuana businesses cannot deduct standard expenses like in other traditional markets under the provisions of known as 280E. And I just explained what 280E is. The presenter explained. He emphasized, however, that even if the business activity is considered illegal, cannabis companies must still pay federal taxes, as I just said. And he pointed out that there is an opportunity for limited deductions when it comes to reporting the cost of goods sold. And this is what this whole memo, let's go back to this memo that I had. This is what this memo is about. They can't deduct certain expenses, but can they deduct the cost of goods sold? And that was a prohibition that was not included in 280E. And so the answer is yes, according to this memo, that yes, marijuana businesses can deduct the cost of goods sold. And again, if you couldn't do that, I think then the prices would really go up because they got to pay for it somehow, right? He emphasized, however, that even if the business activity is considered illegal, still pay federal taxes. One slide from the federally hosted presentation noted polling that shows a majority of Americans supporting ended the prohibition, and it provided an overview of economic potential of the marijuana market. There's a huge market out there. We all know that. Here in Illinois, it's the revenue generated for the state has been phenomenal. Much more than even expected. The accountant who led the panel further discussed efforts by the Senate Majority Leader Schumer and colleagues to pass legalization legislation, and they're going to present it later this month. I've heard about this. I think this is a very active item, and so I don't know why it took so long. It's been legal in many states again since at least for medical purposes since 2014 at least, and so. but it's as we know, the government moves slowly. While the IRS has advocated for the federal cannabis policy change, it has stood out as an agency that understands the complications created by prohibition, and it's taken steps to provide clarity to taxpayers and financial professionals to navigate the space. Here's the answer: pay. Okay, pay your taxes and don't deduct your expenses. That's, here's the clarity. So earlier this year, the commissioner for state legal businesses that to be able to, told Congress that the agency would prefer the state legal marijuana businesses be able to pay taxes electronically, as the current largely cash-based system under federal cannabis prohibition is onerous and possesses risk to so they can't even file their taxes electronically. Former Treasury Secretary Mnuchin said in 2019 that he'd like to see Congress approve legislation resolving the cannabis banking issues, and he pointed out the fact that the IRS has had to build cash rooms to deposit taxes from those businesses as an example of the problem. Because again, everything's in cash. They can't have bank accounts. IRS released updated guidance on tax policy for marijuana industry last year, including instructions on how cannabis businesses that don't have access to bank accounts can pay their tax bills using large amounts of cash. You got to pay. We'll show you how to pay us with cash, but you're paying. The update appears to be responsive to the Treasury Department Internal Watchdog report that was released last year. The department's Inspector General for Tax Administration had criticized IRS for failing to adequately advise taxpayers in the marijuana industry about compliance with federal tax laws, and it directed the agency to develop and publicize guidance specific to the marijuana industry. The IRS commissioner participated in a cannabis-focused event in December in which he noted the legalization movement's continued momentum, saying that it will potentially succeed in ending prohibition in all states. Well, obviously, potentially that could happen. Will it happen? Well, we'll see, right? So the IRS is, I don't know how bad, as long as you're paying your taxes, I don't know how they would have a position on legalization or not legalization. It is what it is. But anyway, I thought it was an interesting case that the IRS is out there advocating for the legalization, and it's also interesting how they put the marijuana and the cryptocurrency markets together. I guess there's lots of questions for both, and maybe that's the connection. And, I guess it is the connection. So anyway, the IRS, I like my new IRS logo with the marijuana in the middle. Anyway, so that's the way. So again, I hope you like this. Where else you get this kind of tax information? You don't get it anywhere else. That's why I need you to like, subscribe, share this information, help others find this information. So hit the button, like the thing, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd very much appreciate it. Now, I've been talking